What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. It's time to talk about some of the most anticipated matchups in recent years between two rookies. And no, it's not Cade Cunningham versus Jalen Green. It's the other two rookies that were drafted in the top five, and that is Scottie Barnes versus Jalen Suggs. Now, obviously, the Raptors did pass on Jalen Suggs to ultimately draft Scottie Barnes. And I want to talk a little bit about these players now. There's a lot to say about this. So before we get into the details of this and break this down, if you guys want to give this video 2 thumbs up, well, technically you can only give 1 thumbs up, but it does help reach more basketball fans like yourself across YouTube. If you guys want to hit the subscribe button for more basketball content, that'd be absolutely amazing. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, this is going to be round number 1 between Scottie Barnes and Jalen Suggs. Now, it is to note, guys, Scottie Barnes did come out in an interview and say that him and Jalen Suggs are really good brothers, and there's no rivalry going on there. And I'm not trying to create a rivalry. I think a lot of people mistook it when I dropped my last video on Scottie Barnes versus Jalen Suggs. I think it's just fun as an NBA fan to compare two players, especially given the history around these two players and the Raptors. So we know the Raptors ultimately ended up selecting Scottie Barnes, but the day leading up to the draft, there was a report by a Raptors reporter, Michael Grange, that said the Raptors are going to take Jalen Suggs. And we know the history around Jalen Suggs as well, who came out and said, I believe this was a week prior to the NBA draft, he did say any team that passes on him in the NBA draft, and he was, I guess he was subtly throwing a little jab at the Raptors because the Raptors were favored to take him, that he is going to make them pay. He said something along the lines of that, and it's going to be very interesting to watch tomorrow's matchup. We know the Raptors so far, it is a small size sample, but they've been holding teams to a lot of teams under 100 points. So it's going to be fun to watch the Raptors and their defense and how they guard Jalen Suggs tomorrow. Now, it is to note again, it's hard to compare these two players because they do play a different style of basketball. Although Scottie Barnes can be inserted at any position, realistically, you can play him at the point guard, you can play him at the center. They're two different players, but it's still fun to talk about this because this is what the NBA is all about. Because if there's one sport out there where it's a 5-on-5 and you can have so much focus on individual performances and one player, it's the NBA. We've seen it throughout the history with the Jordans, LeBrons, Kobe's. And not to say this is on the same level of that, but it's always fun to compare players. Now, obviously, Jalen Suggs, we know, ultimately got drafted by the Magic. And I don't know how he's feeling, but he's definitely going to come out tomorrow, or I should say today, against the Raptors with a chip on his shoulder. So it's going to be really exciting to watch Jalen Suggs. Now, I don't want to take a jab at Jalen Suggs. Obviously, there was some report on Reddit. Again, this was written by someone. I don't know how much truth there is to this, but there were apparently some talk about Jalen Suggs performing really poorly with the Raptors in his tryouts with the Raptors. They said he was shooting so bad that apparently the Raptors stopped that workout with Jalen Suggs and told him to come in the following day, and he still struggled. Now, of course, he's struggling a little bit shooting-wise, and this is not to say that Jalen Suggs is going to struggle throughout this year, or even if he does struggle throughout his rookie year, it doesn't necessarily mean that defines his career, because we know Michael Carter-Williams ended up winning the Rookie of the Year, and we haven't heard much from him since. So 1 game, 1 season, 1 month does not define a rookie's career. I think he's got a long way to go. I think Jalen Suggs is going to be an amazing player, but in terms of Scottie Barnes, I'm really impressed by what Scottie has shown us, and it will be a fun matchup if we do get to see Scottie Barnes guarding Jalen Suggs. I think it's going to be really fun to watch as an NBA fan. And we know Scottie has been obviously not shooting. I wouldn't say he's shooting the 3-point ball well, but in terms of field goal percentage, he's been really up there, hitting a 50+% of his shots in most games. So it's going to be fun to watch Scottie versus Jalen Suggs. It is round 1, and it is a friendly little competition. There's no rivalry going on. Scottie Barnes talked about this. He said, you know what, media is going to talk about it. But as NBA fans, it's going to be fun watching these two players. Personally, I'm excited to see Jalen Suggs. I haven't seen a lot of him except for highlights, but we finally get to see him against the Raptors. Now, we know, as I said, guys, he did say he's going to make teams pay that ones that pass on him. So it'll be fun to see how he plays the Raptors. And it was to note, guys, that a few weeks prior to the NBA draft, the Raptors were apparently, there were some reports that they were really high on Scottie Barnes. Now, ultimately, I did think those were smoke screens to maybe get other teams below them to trade up. There were some rumors about maybe the Raptors looking to trade down if they wanted to draft Suggs, or maybe they had someone else in mind. Obviously, those reports were true because they did end up taking Scottie Barnes. But it's going to be fun to see both players go at it. We know they're both really good competitors, great players. It's going to be exciting to see two young guys go at it. They're obviously friends, but we know Scottie Barnes' competitive nature. We know Jalen Suggs is a competitor as well. So it's going to be really exciting to see how these two players perform tomorrow. I want to ask you guys, though, what are you guys excited about most in this matchup? Now, obviously, the Magic don't have a lot of good young players outside of Jalen Suggs. They obviously have, Wendell Carter Jr. they got from the Bulls, and they have Cole Anthony, who's been playing really well for the Magic this season. But I want to ask you guys in the comment section, let me know, what are you guys most excited about in seeing Jalen Suggs versus Scottie Barnes? Or is there a certain aspect of maybe you want to see Scottie Barnes guarding Jalen Suggs? Let me know in the comment section below. And also, guys, I do the trivia question. So for today's question, the trivia question for today is, this player is the all-time leader for the Raptors in three-point field goal percentage. And I do apologize. I believe I forgot to give a shout out, and the shout out for today's video goes to My Two Cents, who actually got the question right from the previous trivia question, which was, who is the all-time leader in games played for the Raptors? And it was DeMar DeRozan. So My Two Cents, thank you so much for supporting this channel through your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. And if you guys are still watching this video, guys, thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a great day.